Hi, I'd like to share this week's story, culled from the Torah, the Talmud, the sages, modern day heroes. Today's story takes us back approximately 200 years. There was a gentleman by the name of Reb Nachum who lived outside of the city of Tzanz in Galicia. He had a restaurant. Now, the restaurant was designed really to feed anyone that needed food, but primarily it was almost like a front to serve poor people in a dignified manner. In fact, I remember growing up in New York, there was a restaurant that still exists today in Borough Park that is run by Mr. and Mrs. Rabashkin. Mr. Rabashkin, Olav Hashalom, passed away recently, and they have a restaurant, a beautiful restaurant, very elegant, high-class restaurant that is really there, that is geared to help out poor people so they can come and eat in a dignified manner. And they give them free meals, and they feel like they're coming to a nice restaurant, so the family feels that at least they have a place to go to take their family out to eat. And so this Reb Nachum had a similar restaurant. One day, a poor man comes to the restaurant, and he treats him with royalty, gives him food and drink, takes care of him. Afterwards, he offers him, he says, "Do you need a place to sleep tonight?" And the man declines, says, "No, thank you." Then he wants to give him some money for his way. The man also declines and says, "No, thank you." But he says, "Because you offered me a place to sleep and money, and I'm declining, I don't want to just say no, it's not nice. And so I'll explain to you why I said no." And this is the story that this man said. We're going to call him Yankel. This Yankel was a successful businessman. And he hired a poor girl from town to come and work for him in his house to help out with different chores in the house. This girl's parents, unfortunately, did not have a lot of money, and this girl was marriageable age, and so he hired her so she can earn some money, a little living, so she can get married nicely. One day, the rich man, this Yankel, noticed that he's missing his wallet. And he could not think who could possibly have been in his office and taken the wallet. The only person that he could think who may have taken it was this poor girl. And so he called the girl into his office and he says, "I'm missing my wallet and I would like you to return the money to me." The girl starts to cry and she says, "I did not take it." She was a very nice, kind, refined girl, and he really had a hard time suspecting that she was the one that took it, but he had no one else to think that could have taken it. So he asked her, and she denied that she took it. And the more he pressed her that she took it, the more she denied it. And the more she denied it, the more he believed that she was the one that actually took it. And this went on, and she started to cry and plead. And so he says, "Listen, I know you took the money. If you keep on denying it, then I'm going to have to send you out of the house in shame. But if you return the money, it'll be between me and you. I won't say anything to anybody else." The girl cried and told him he did not take it. He didn't know what to do, and so he took this girl to the town rabbi, and he told the rabbi the whole story. The rabbi says, "Listen, you didn't bring me any proof that she took it, so I can't tell her that she has to give it back. We don't know if she took it or not. You can do whatever you want. You want to keep her on as an employee in your household, you can do that. If you want to fire her, that's your choice." And so he sent her home. This girl went back to her parents' house, brokenhearted, knowing that she was wrongfully accused of stealing money and she would never do anything like that. And she became very ill, and a short while later she died. Everyone in town started to talk. Why did this girl die? And they said she probably passed away at a young age because of what she had done by stealing this money. And this rich man, Yankel, felt the same way. He felt okay with his conscience by thinking that he sent her home and she died because she had stolen money, and that was just her punishment. A little while later, he was looking through his drawers. Lo and behold, his wallet that he had originally lost got stuck somewhere in the side, and he found the wallet with all the money inside. Now he was beside himself. Could not believe what he had done. He essentially caused this girl to pass away. He felt terrible. He didn't know what to do. He was brokenhearted. He felt such guilt, such remorse for what he had done. He decided he's going to take that money, plus triple that amount of money, and bring it to the parents, at least to give them something for the terrible thing that he had done by causing this girl to be in such anguish and dying so young. But the parents at this point already moved away in shame. They moved to a different city. He traveled to that city. He came to the parents and said, listen, I must give you this money. I feel terrible for what I had done. I don't know how to make up for it. It's my fault. At least take this, at least something. The parents sat quietly and they said, may God forgive you. But this Yankel still just could not come to himself. Maybe it was nice he gave them the money, but he still felt terrible. And so Yankel goes to Reb Meir of Pramishlan, famous holy tzaddik Reb Meir of Pramishlan, and he tells him the whole story. Reb Meir says, listen, there are three choices that you have in order to repent for this terrible sin that you had done by causing this young girl such anguish and causing her to become ill and eventually dying for falsely accusing her of doing such a terrible thing. Either you can accept that you'll die within a year, or you can accept a punishment of 3 years of painful illness, or you can accept upon yourself 3 years of traveling around as a poor person. You may not stay in the same place during the day as you do at night. You cannot stay in the same place that you stayed at night during the day. You have to constantly travel. You cannot collect any money. You could only receive food enough to eat 1 meal a day, and that's it. This Yankel is telling this whole story to Rab Nachum, the man that has the restaurant that gave him his meal. And so this Yankel goes home not knowing what to do. He tells Rab Meir, I must ask my wife which option I should take. And so he goes home and he's still beside himself, ridden with guilt for what he had done. And so he turns to his wife, and he's at this point very ill, and he thinks maybe he's going to die within the year because he hasn't yet made up his mind. And he tells his wife the whole story, and together they decide he's going to take 3 years of exile and travel from place to place every day and night, staying in a different place. Before he leaves, he instructs his wife how to continue his business and his business transactions and everything that's going on, and he leaves. He takes his talis and tefillin and goes on the road. And so he's telling this Reb Nachum that he's been traveling for 2 years, doing this, going from city to city, townlet to townlet, just eating off the kindness of what people feed him 1 meal a day. And Reb Meir had also told him that at the end of 3 years, you should come back to me before you even go home. But he tells Reb Nachum from the restaurant to have a problem because Reb Meir of Pramishlan just passed away. And I don't know if God is going to answer my prayers or not. And so I'm on my way right now to travel to the Tzanzer Rebbe. I'm going to go to the Tzanzer Rebbe and ask him what I should do. Reb Nachum tells him, thank you for sharing the story with me. May God bless you. May God forgive you. Yankel continues to travel, and he comes to Tzanz, and he comes to the Tzanzer Rebbe. Before he even says the story, the Tzanzer Rebbe tells him, I want you to know that Reb Meir is looking out for you. Reb Meir had passed away, but before he went into heaven, he made sure that God knows your story, and that God will forgive you for what you had done. And in fact, because you have been traveling for 2 years, Reb Meir was able to beseech the heavenly court that you should be forgiven, and you can already go home, just completing the 2 years of exile and wandering from place to place. And so Reb Yankel went home to his family, and now he begins his life anew, still feeling a heavy burden on his shoulder for what he had done to the poor girl, but making a decision that more than half of his income is going to go to charity, especially poor girls and orphan children, to help them provide for their needs. A little while later, several years have passed, and Yankel comes to Nachum's restaurant. And he says, hi, Nachum, shalom aleichem, welcome, hi. Nachum looks at him, doesn't recognize him. He says, don't you remember me? Nachum now remembers, that's the poor guy that came to him. And he tells him everything that happened since then. He tells him what the Tzanzer Rebbe had told him. And he said how now he learned from Reb Nachum also that you have to be able to Share whatever you have with the poor and the needy, and this will certainly be a merit for anything that one does, that God shall forgive us. And I'm sharing this story because now we are in the month of Elul, just before the holidays of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, where we beseech God to answer our prayers, when we ask God to forgive us for anything we may have done, and we know certainly that God will sign us and seal us in the book of life. Have a great week.